I think the biggest issue that Westerners face when they come here, especially those who fall into the wife hunter category, is the fact that they don't have presence, and they don't understand the particularities of dating in Eastern Europe. And as a result, they get very lost. They become very dependent on these middlemen who provide things like the romance tours or the matchmaking service introductions, when with the right tool set, you can do all this yourself.
SAR Experience.
Привет! And welcome back to another episode of the Valka Valkas with me, Connor Klein. Greetings from Odessa Mama, Odessa, Ukraine, during the coronavirus lockdown. So I am allowed out in the street, as you can see, and in this video we're going to be diving deep into something that I think affects a huge number of men who I see come here to Ukraine hoping to find love and meet women, beautiful Eastern Europe women, and that is not having an abundance mindset, and actually in fact having a scarcity mindset when it comes to dating. And this is something that I think definitely is applicable for a lot of things in life, not just dating in Eastern Europe, just dating in general, and even things for like business. It's going to be pretty much the main mindset that you're going to need if you're going to be successful. Now, the genesis for this video is actually talking to a marriage broker, owner of a website, and he brought up in a different context about the abundance versus scarcity mindset. And it actually occurred to me that I think a lot of his clients, or who he's pitching to, are people who actually have a scarcity mindset. So let me explain a little bit what I mean. And I see this in a lot of the marketing from matchmaking services, marriage agencies, dating sites here. They seem to underline and appealing to this sense of scarcity. So the first thing is the one. This, I think, probably comes from Hollywood and Hollywood films about there is one girl in the world who's for you. And I think that also goes probably for women as well, that they're also lured in by this kind of Hollywood notion of romance, that there's one person, white knight out there, is going to sweep them off their feet. And for guys as well, I see that pitch that you're going to find the one. Now, this is in its very simplest term. If you think there's only one person in the world out there for you, then could it be any more of a scarcity mindset? So you don't believe that there are lots of possibilities for you. You think there's only one, and you just have to find that one person and grab onto them, get them married. It actually sounds like what a lot of women are accused of doing, in fact. And that there aren't lots of options out there for you, which is abundance. Abundance means a lot of options. Scarcity means you think there are very limited options, and that you have to, the pie, it's the idea that the pie is like there to be divided up and grab them, that we can expand the pie. And first of all, if you're planning to come here to Eastern Europe from the West, obviously you believe there are more opportunities here than you're going to find, or better opportunities for dating than you're getting currently in your home country. So if you come here and think there's just the one, this is the wrong mindset. And I actually see a lot of the marketing, this whole discussion on a lot of other YouTube channels about whether you should date more than one girl at one time, more than one woman. And then for me, it's like, yes, of course you should. You should be examining all your options and seeing who you're going to have the best chemistry with. It's completely fine if you want to settle on one person, get married, have a family. That's all completely understandable and normal. You don't have to be the player and have 30 chicks every week if that's not what you're personally into. But you cannot be limiting yourself. I'm only going to date one person. And let me explain why. If you think that you're dating just one person, you've traveled all the way over here, and you're just going to focus on one person, think about how needy that is to the woman. Like, think from a point of view, you're willing to do so much to come over here, and maybe with that mindset, guys think that, yeah, I'm showing just how committed I am. But the problem is that just gets interpreted as like, I don't have other options. I don't have abundance. That's why I have to fly all the way over here to a city like Odessa in Ukraine and just focus on you and date you the whole week because I have no other options. Like, if you are here in Odessa or anywhere in Eastern Europe, you're going to see, on average, the women are better looking than on average in Western countries. So the dating options are obviously greater from that point of view. And the women here are also, of course, completely cognizant of that. Of course, they notice that, they look at the competition. And if they think that you have to focus so much on them, that means it's a bit weird. Why aren't you, checking out your other options here. Why is it only about me? So implicitly, it's a scarcity mindset. It's like there's only one option for me here. I did see some advice was to date women, just date one woman, and then if it's not working out, then go to another, but not date multiple women. I don't know where that's coming from. Listen, my advice is that's a very bad idea. Of course, if you meet someone, you just feel this great chemistry and everything's going well, and you think that this is something you want to invest really a lot of time into, because you've seen you've checked out your other options, you think this is a really good fit for you, and it seems like it's being reciprocated by the other person, then by all means invest more time into that person. I'm not saying you necessarily have to be promiscuous, but if you come here with that mindset of like there's only one person for me in the world, listen, women are human beings, like we men are human beings, and there's going to be good fits. It may be good fits for a while. Doesn't mean for the whole life. It's not like people don't change or that doesn't work out, as we all know from our relationships. So imagine there's just the one. That is a scarcity mindset, and it's not going to be very helpful. It's going to turn women off in general. And of course, if you were here and you're just focusing on one girl and you've traveled halfway across the world for, it's also going to look very needy. So you want to avoid that. Sincerely is my advice on that. So abundance mindset is going to be, yeah, I'm here, I'm going to have a great time, I'm going to check out a cool city like Odessa. Of course, I'm going to set up lots of dating options for myself, check it out. I'm optimistic that I'm going to meet someone. If I don't, I'm going to have a great time here and I'm going to explore the options. Boom, you're going to be in such a better mindset and a lot more attractive to women, and not as dependent or needy that, the one girl that you meet here, that everything works out with her. Because if it doesn't, why, you invest all your time coming here and yeah, it doesn't work out, what you got left. You didn't enjoy Odessa probably, or Ukraine, or wherever city it is. And yeah, you actually lowered your chances overall of actually making that relationship work. So the second point I want to get into that I see marketed by a lot of marriage agencies, dating sites, etc., is the idea of a social. Now, social, if you don't understand what it is, it's basically a nightclub or party, right? They're all against nightclubs and parties, meeting girls in clubs. I have another video about that. I'll link it up in the card down below in the description. You can see what I think of that idea. But basically, they set up a private club and they load the ratio. So there's like, I don't know, some ridiculous overload of women versus men, maybe 8-to-1, maybe 10-to-1, I'm not sure, which actually, of course, sounds very attractive, which I agree with. It is very attractive if you go to a social event and there are just so much more women than men for you as a man, of course, because then women have more competitive pressure to get your attention, scarcity and abundance. There's an abundant amount of women and a scarce number of men at that event. Now, the issue with all this is, why don't you go to the nightclub in the first place? Now, I understand for some guys, it's going to be like a fantasy to go and see that number of women and actually have, a certain number of them want to talk to you, but that's probably, if it's attractive, because you can't go to a normal nightclub. It doesn't even have to be a nightclub, by the way, a bar, the opera, I don't know, another social event, and actually have high value women interested in you. Now, the abundance mindset is, okay, I don't need to pay to have this thing loaded for kind of fantasy purposes. I'm actually going to work on myself. I'm going to maximize my opportunities. It could be anything, going to the gym, making more money. It can be improving your mindset, like with this video. On top of it, then learning what traditionally is called game. It's basically social interaction, social dynamics, how exactly to interact better with women, how to communicate better, how to be more interesting as a person. All these things are going to improve your chances. I mean, how to dance is also going to make a difference, especially if you want to go to a club or a bar. How not to get drunk. Too drunk, alcohol is not, over drinking alcohol is obviously not going to help your chances there. That would be the better mindset to have. Now, the other thing about socials is that, of course, they use the marketing with, normally they have a thumbnail or something when they have their own promotional videos here on YouTube that focus on, normally I will say, a very attractive woman, maybe under 30. And that is not actually the main demographic who appears to me at least, to go to these kind of events sincerely to meet someone with maybe a long-term personal relationship or marriage. Now, what they can do, and which I think is good, and I think that's just with these marriage agencies, dating sites overall, is they can help a lot of, say, guys who are struggling in the West to meet someone with women who are normally, say, 30 to 45, probably a single mom, they had a child or children with someone here in Ukraine or Russia or Belarus, and then the father is absent or the relationship didn't work out. And the reason that works is because obviously she's a mom and her child is, it should be as her first priority. And then you become very attractive if you are in that category of being a foreign man, because then the child can grow up in the West and have better opportunities. Now, that's not really how they market this when they do the thumbnails and stuff. So again, this is maybe a little bit off the scarcity and abundance mindset, but what it really is you're watching those thumbnails and you're clicking on those images, and you're watching those videos, and maybe even tempted to sign up for these things, is that you're thinking that you are going to be with the younger, pretty girls. That's not really how they can help you, from what I can see, how they can generally help you. I'm not going to say that they're scams, because I think, I've had clients who went to some of these events and they delivered on what they promised, but they were basically promising within that category, and that's not what you really see. Now, if you want to be the kind of guy who can date exactly the girls who've been using those thumbnails or out those events and actually grow as a person, you basically have to do that. You have to work on yourself and work on your social skills, and that is the abundance mindset. It's not that you're going to go to this event and there's going to be 100 women at them and that's it. There's a pie of 100 women. I have to grab a woman there, because otherwise it's gone. Because remember, you've paid to go to the event. The event is specific, so you can't just go out when you go back home and go to the same thing when you leave, say, Odessa here in Ukraine, or even if you hang around in Odessa, you're going to have to pay to go back to the same event, and you might as well just get a table at a club, because in terms of cost, in order to do that, and you're really going to go out and maximize your potential. So there, I think this is how it connects in with the scarcity versus abundance mindset. Abundant mindset means you're going to see more opportunities. I'm going to learn. I'm not seeing just as just one opportunity to go to social or romance tour or whatnot, and just meet my wife, because I'm going to work on myself, enjoy the experience, enjoy the process, and then be in a better position to attract more beautiful, intelligent women, higher quality women. And then later on, when it's, I meet the right person, if I want to settle down, which I think is a very normal thing to do. You don't have to do that. You can be a player your whole life if that's also what you want to do. But it's going to be the same principle. You're going to be expanding your options and growing as a person, being a lot more attractive, which is great. And that's the real abundance mindset. So if you're focused on this, I want to pay to go to this because it's going to kind of game everything for me for this one experience. It's a scarcity mindset, and it's going to hurt you in the long run, because you're actually becoming dependent on these agents. You're not developing, because after your experience, what can you do? Can you go to the bar or nightclub? Can you go to the opera? Can you walk here in the street? Do you have a social circle in order to meet more women and create more options for yourself? Absolutely not. You don't have those. You haven't pushed yourself forward at all. And again, you're really in a scarcity mindset, because you got to find someone at this event. Otherwise, you don't have more options for afterwards. And on top of it, imagine you do meet someone at either because a matchmaker sets you up with them, or you go to one of these social events, you go on a romance tour. Like one of my former clients was, he'd actually gone it just before he met me, and then we traveled here and lived as our experience together. A lot of them, they promise, to make introductions for you, and they deliver on that from what I understand. So you are going to meet, say, if it's 10 women, and you're going to meet them with a translator. Again, if you need an interpreter, the chances of the relationship really being sincere and working out, it's going to be pretty hard. There are enough women here who do speak enough English. I think you should focus on them. That's always my advice. But again, that's a side point. I just don't think it's a good idea to be basing it on, I need a translator from the beginning. But okay, so you do meet someone, you do end up in a relationship. What happens, what position are you in once the relationship ends? If it doesn't end in marriage and happily ever after, which, hate to break it to you, is going to be the majority of cases, you are completely dependent on this marriage agent, marriage broker, dating site, again, to go back. So you're going to have to take out your wallet and pay, and you haven't learned anything. You haven't learned the tools, and I think that's the big difference that I see between clients who come and live this our experience with me. They really learn a lot. They learn a lot about the culture here. They learn how to recognize scammers. They learn how to project themselves better. They learn the specifics of dating in Eastern Europe versus Western Europe, and they really work themselves. And with these tools, even afterwards, after the trips with me, I did have one client who came on 2 trips and then decided to spend a lot of time in Kiev. He already has that, and he even told me that's why he paid for the Zara experience. He wanted the shortcuts to get to those tools in that stage, so that he didn't have to spend 6 months figuring it out when he got here. he had the tools, he was able to do it himself. And this is what I think is really powerful, and it's an abundance mindset. It's like the pie is bigger than what I see in front of me today. If I work on myself and I push myself, there are going to be a lot more opportunities as long as I put myself in a better position by growing and developing. I think that's something that really afflicts a lot of Western guys who come here. So like here, like anything in negotiation even, you have to be able to leave the table. That's what's going to be an abundance center. There are other options away from here. I'm not dependent. I don't need to, you know, find a woman on the romance tour, otherwise I've wasted my entire, whatever they charge you, 5,000, 10,000, 20,000, whatever their fees are. You have the abundance mindset. There are more options out there. Like even if you came here to Odessa by yourself and you want to date, maybe you want to find a single mom between 30 and 45, you don't have to find them there. You can also go, there are clubs here in Odessa where these women go to socialize. And with the tools that you will have learned from an experience like, I mean, if you come with me, if you come with any mentor who's going to show you everything, because that's the best way to learn quickly. You can be able to do that even yourself after the experience. You are going to have those tools. You go there, you socialize, you learn all the different differences, how to project yourself, because I think the biggest issue that Westerners face when they come here, especially those who fall into the wife hunter category, is the fact that they don't project, but don't have presence, and they don't understand the particularities of dating in Eastern Europe. And as a result, they get very lost. They become very dependent on these middlemen who provide things like the romance tours or the matchmaking service introductions, when with the right tool set, you can do all this yourself eventually. You just have to learn that. For sure, it doesn't mean that every one of these agencies is a scam or something. They do, as long as they deliver on the basics that they are promising you when you sign up, like you get 10 introductions. But as everyone knows who spent time in Ukraine, getting dates is not an issue. First of all, there are so many scammer girls here, girls who are going to waste your time, your money. They all want to date you because they want your money. So getting that is not the issue. It's actually getting quality ones that's really the thing. And frankly, if you have to rely on a translator all the time, I'm a bit skeptical it's going to work out for you. Can in a tiny percentage of cases. And again, it's a scarcity mindset, not an abundance mindset. So it's something that it's really going to stand to you in the long run if you invest in yourself and actually learn to have this abundance mindset in general when it comes to dating, not just here in Eastern Europe. So with that said, that's the end of today's video, more or less. Drop me a comment below about your experience, what you think about abundance or scarcity mindset in terms of dating here in Eastern Europe. Your experiences, maybe you relied on one of these services before, maybe it worked out for you, maybe it didn't work out for you, definitely drop me a comment below. Now, if you want to come and have me as your mentor and live this our experience, then you need to go down and click on the link below this video. There's going to be an application form, go fill it out. I review those personally, and if I think it's a good fit, then we jump on a short strategy call together. Now, the percentage of people, because I do really vet this, is tiny that I actually invite here to come and live this our experience for me. It's also a premium service. So if you are in a small budget, it's obviously not going to be for you, or if you just don't want to invest in yourself, you'd rather pay one of these other services that are going to provide some sort of quick fix for you, then it's also not going to be for you. I want guys who are really determined to improve themselves and actually want to take the shortcuts. So now that you have an abundance mindset, you understand the philosophy, when you come here, where are you going to go to meet beautiful women by yourself, because you're not going to rely on an agency to do that specifically, or you want to do that in addition to some other service that you've invested in, well, for a very short period of time, you probably want to do it immediately. Just go do it immediately, because I'm going to take it down in probably a week after this video goes out. I have a free PDF where I give you my secret places to meet and bring beautiful women here in Eastern Europe, in Ukraine and Belarus, in cities, well, basically the three cities are Kiev, Odessa, Mama, right here, and Minsk. Now normally I only give this information out for $250, so US, so you want to go and do it because it's not going to be up for very long. You're going to have to type in your email address. Type in your email address, then I whiz it off to you, this free PDF. Go enjoy it and make the most of it with your new abundance mindset or your improved abundance mindset. See you very soon in the next video. Do побачення. До свидання. Have a great evening.
SAR Experience.